What's good? It's Soulful. Check out my episode on Talk Lab.
Welcome to the Talk Lab.
Thank you for having me. It's truly
Thank you very much. Oh my God. It's an honor to have you actually on the Talk Lab.
It's my pleasure.
All right. So Ali The Soulful Poet. That's such an interesting name. It's a great name actually. Tell me about the name. Where did the name come from?
So I first got into spoken word, of course, you know that about my career, before, pivoting into other genres of art. But in the beginning, I always wanted to have some sort of stage name, and being a poet, no matter where I go, no matter what genre I do, was something I always wanted to have. And instead of being something the poet, that's something I always noticed. Like, there's someone in Toronto named Mustafa the poet. There's Humble the poet. There's something the poet. But I'm like, let me do something different, so I'll be the something poet. And I thought soulful was a unique word that no one really used. Right. And it represents me. I put my soul into my work, so the soulful poet is what came together.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God. But now everyone's just calling you Ali the Soulful Poet. Like, they have to
It's my last name now. It's more popular. Yeah, either that or soulful. People know me as soulful too. Yeah.
I even saw that you recently you changed it on Instagram, right? So like you're like Ali dash the Soulful Poet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. You've become known about this. I love that you in your videos you are coming across a lot of issues, mostly social issues, right? I remember in the beginning you came across domestic violence, you came across loneliness, basically depression. Tell me about this. Were they like? Are those like personal stories, or some of them are just like stories that you heard from people, or what?
Mm-hmm. So in my work, regardless of what the topic is, I always try to speak about topics that no one ever speaks about, whether it be in my community or globally. So depending on the topic, sometimes they are a little bit more personal than others, but what I always do as a storyteller is take whatever knowledge I have. So even if a story is personal, I'll gather information from someone else who's experienced something similar, just to add another side to the story. And as you're referring to, like my debut album, Thorns, which won Album of the Year in Ottawa, Watery Eyes touches on domestic violence. Young Soldier touches upon that growth, and Steps touches upon that loneliness and struggle to improve. So they're all topics that I like to talk about, and it's always a message that I'm trying to preach to people.
Yeah, from me personally, I felt like Steps was a little bit more personal to you, right?
Yeah, it's a letter to myself, especially being the end of the album, the last song that I placed there. It was just whenever I feel down, sometimes I listen to it and I feel motivated again. So that's the goal behind it, and I think it really came off that way, and people really did enjoy it.
Yeah, was it like did you had a lot of people doubt you when you were a kid, or was it just like something general?
Absolutely. No. I think being from where we're from, we're not always believed in unless we're going for engineering, doctors, or lawyers, right? We're not believed in any career outside of that. So being an artist, naturally being a writer, or even being a storyteller, was always something people doubted me on, even as close to my family as my family. They always thought, just keep it as a hobby, focus on education and all that. But one thing I've always prided myself on is being somebody who breaks the boundaries. If no one's ever done it, I'm not afraid to be the first one to do it. And I feel like that's what the Soulful Poet is really doing now, especially in the city, and it's becoming globally, which I'm really grateful for.
That's actually great. Yeah, I heard that. I actually saw a lot of messages that were sent to you from Iraq, mostly actually.
Yeah. The Iraq community is doing the most right now, especially on my posts because I do like to incorporate Arabic, right?
Basically, yeah.
I like to be who I am, and who I am as an Arab Canadian artist. I'm going to use Arabic, and I don't feel as though the Arab immigrant artist community is really spoken for. I mean, we have a few artists who are making it out there, but they don't necessarily embrace their culture in their art directly, at least. So that's something I really pride myself on. I don't mind using Arabic. I don't mind using French, because I speak French as well. And I don't mind using English, of course, just to be able to relate to a lot of people.
Oh my God, yeah. I know that, like, also, do you think they kind of like understand you more in Iraq, like right now? Because I know they watch you from Iraq, and I'm not sure like if they understand everything, basically, because they're opening more. I think they're opening more towards like the Western countries. or the Western society, basically. Do you think they understand you mostly in Iraq right now?
I think as you said, they're still developing, they're still growing that acceptance for this new style, the Western style of art, the Western style of expression. So there's always going to be those people, and I think there's still the majority of people who don't accept what I'm doing, and they don't understand it, and they don't want to understand it. Rather, instead of encouraging me or simply ignoring me, they'll choose to maybe, diss me in a comment, or speak in a way that's negative towards me, telling me to stop or whatnot. But I get where they're coming from because that's their background. And me being a first generation immigrant, I can relate to not understanding why I'm doing something and why this is happening, and feeling entitled to speak about it, which is a very common thing in the Arab community. We really do feel entitled to our opinion, and we guide people as we feel is right. But there is a certain community that I have built, and I'm really thankful for, in the Iraqi community in Iraq, that support me and understand what I'm doing. And not only that, there are also collaborations that I'm actually going to be doing in the future with some Iraqi artists who I really appreciate.
Oh my God, I'm looking forward for
Absolutely,
that,
no, it's going to be pretty crazy.
That would be really great.
Yeah.
So tell me, because I know, we just touched upon a very important topic. It's like, how does your parents see you? Because they're expecting, Ali the doctor, or like Ali the engineer, right? So like they're not expecting, oh, Ali the soulful poet, right? So
yeah. You know what? That's funny you say that. That's true. It's always been an uphill battle. It hasn't been the easiest thing to do in convincing my parents that I'm serious about this and I'm doing it. But over time, and I'm the first child too. I'm the eldest child of my family, and anyone who's an eldest child that knows, anyone who's an eldest child, you can relate to.
Yeah, I am an eldest child. I am the oldest child.
You're the oldest child, so you can relate to this. Everything you do is first. You're the first to do everything, especially as an immigrant. Like, your parents didn't grow up in this system. They didn't go to grade school here. They didn't go to high school here. And they definitely didn't go to, like, some went to university, some didn't. So everything that you experience, you have to pass on to your younger generation. You have to pass on to your younger siblings. And there's actually a line from a song that I have that's unreleased. It goes like, I'm going in head first like a first child.
Exactly.
Everything I see is brand new,
Yeah.
And a lot of times we go in head first, and if we break our head, we have to give them the news. We have to tell them, don't do this. And if we succeed, we don't get the credit, because the little sibling who does it probably gets more credit at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So being the eldest child was always difficult because my parents were always paranoid. Being first generation immigrants coming out of a war in Iraq, it was always a struggle for them, and everything to them was new, and they were naturally scared of everything because, who do you trust in a land that you don't even know, right? So I really, really pushed them to be open and to understand the culture. And I think because of that, I think my younger sibling, my brother, is able to live a much more open lifestyle than I was able to. And that goes to anyone who's a child of immigrant parents who's struggling, trying to convince their parents to be confident in their art or in something that goes against what their parents think is normal, is to just keep going, keep pushing, because I did it, and if I can do it, and I'm just a kid, and my parents were just as strict as your parents probably, it's possible. For me, I think a big turning point was when I released my album and won Album of the Year. When I went to that show and I won Album of the Year and I showed it to my parents, like, okay, this is what I'm able to accomplish. I'm serious about this, and I'm getting recognition for it, And it's crazy because that was a big pivot for me, because, of course, I started off doing a lot of religious stuff, right? And a lot of people knew me for that. But over time, I realized that I don't want to be confined to that, because, one, the community is not generally small, and that's not to deter me, but I always had ambitions of reaching a greater audience of people. So I opened up myself, and that's what Thorns was with the spoken word album. And then in turn, that led to the Album of the Year award. With a spoken word album, it's pretty impressive because I'm going up against hip hop, I'm going up against rock music, I'm going up against folk music, a lot of popular music, but a spoken word album that used very little music won it. So that accomplishment in itself really was a turning point, and I think it showed Mama and Baba that, like, okay, like, you're really doing this, and
you're really serious.
You're passionate, and you're serious about it. So now, the point where I'm at now, and people ask me all the time, where are you at now? Like, how do you do this with your parents, and you still live in your basement? I tell them, right now, I do my thing, and I know what I'm doing, and I have the confidence. Over time, I've built the confidence, and that's one thing I want to get across too. Allow your parents to question you, but don't let that affect your confidence. Speak about it, talk about it, defend yourself.
That's an important thing.
And don't hold back from believing in what you believe in, because a lot of times I gave up. For a lot of things, I'd be like, it's not worth the argument. It's not worth time. They're not going to understand anyways, right? But this is one thing that always stuck with me. A lot of things came and went. I wanted to make the NBA. I wanted to be a basketball player. That came and went. I wanted to be a soccer player. That came and went. But being an artist was something that stuck with me and that I saw success in and that I knew that I had to continue doing. And I couldn't take no for an answer. Until this day, it still is a struggle. But I do get my parents involved. I tell them, hey, listen, I'm going to release this. Or I have this type of merch, as you see in the camera. Hit me up on social media if you're interested. Check out my website. It's a shameless plug right there. But I'm doing this merch. I have a show here. I have an opportunity here. And they're seeing the growth happen. So they've actually taken a bit of a step back in questioning me. Rather, they just trust my process. And they realize that I understand what I'm doing more than they understand what I'm doing. And sometimes that's okay.
I feel like I'm not sure if you agree with me or not. I feel like if our parents are more, involved in society, they could like a little bit understand like what we're doing. I know my dad wasn't really involved in society until he started, kind of getting involved in society, and
we're talking Western society, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Talking about the Canadian society, of
Canadian
course. Yeah. So now he's actually more supportive about the idea that he's doing videography, he's doing photography. Now the podcast, I was shocked when I told him. I was like, yeah, we're just gonna have a podcast, in the basement. He looked at me, he's like, yeah, it's a good idea. I was like, what do you mean? You're not gonna say no?
Question, you're not gonna say what? You're not gonna say no.
You're not gonna say like, no, you're not gonna make money as a doctor, like
absolutely,
such as a doctor,
And that's a real luxury. That's a real luxury, and it's something that not every person has growing up, which sucks because a lot of people want to express themselves, and sometimes we reach a point in our life where we run out of time and we don't know how to express ourselves. And I feel like I'm lucky in the sense that I was given a platform. My mother used to read to me stories, and she liked literature. She liked writing. She liked art in general. She was an artist. She's an artist too, still today. And that sort of gave me that platform of understanding. And sometimes it's hard. It's hard when the closed-mindedness creeps in. But there's always a way just to keep pushing. And trust me, you see these artists that are huge today. Don't think that it was easy for them either. There's a lot of artists who go through much worse things, but they just keep it behind closed doors because that's family matters. I choose to share it because I feel as though no one talks about it, and I feel as though a lot of people can relate to it growing up.
Exactly. Oh my God. Tell me about going from the basement to the top. I mean, like, oh my God.
I don't know if I'm at the top yet, but I'm humbled by the statement. I think, the album Live from the Basement and continuing to work from the basement is just a metaphor that I like to use just to remind myself to keep humble, to understand that you make an impact on people and people listen to you. You have a voice and you have a platform. And just to know that came from the basement. That's all it took. And I hope to use that as inspiration for people who don't know how to start and don't know where to start. I bought my own microphone. I taught myself how to audio engineer, which took me about, over the course of time, 3-4 years with school and everything, right?
I remember those times. Yeah.
Right. If you look at my first video on YouTube, I still have it up there. The quality is decent, but it's nowhere near my latest quality, my latest album, Live from the Basement. So even listening to the album, which is available on all streaming platforms and SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that, it's just a story of my life, and the fact that I was able to do that in my basement, in my parents' home, just made it that much more special because I'm telling my story when I'm still living in it. I'm still growing. I'm still evolving.
Exactly.
This isn't a past story. This is me right now.
This is you right now, of course. Yeah, I still remember the first video because we shot it together.
We did shoot it together. Yeah. Which did pretty well for a first video. It did really well.
It was amazing, actually. Like, to be honest. And I remember, prior to the video, us sitting in Tim Hortons, discussing all the plans how the video is gonna look like.
We were two very different people back then.
Exactly. Oh my God, yeah, I remember that.
We didn't think the way we think now, for sure.
No, it was just, it was just a dream, of course. Yeah.
And what was that? A year and a half ago?
Actually, exactly a year ago, I think.
Exactly a year ago.
When I checked it last night, it was still saying a year ago. We launched this video. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
That was crazy. Like 1 year changed everything to you, basically.
Yeah. And the video we're talking about, for those who don't know, it's Ty's, the spoken word piece. And Ahmed did an amazing job with the videography.
Thank you very much.
That was a journey. And the weather was horrible. It was raining. It was cold.
I was gonna get to the rain. Oh my God.
Yeah, man. But we still made it through. We did it, and people enjoyed it. People really liked the piece. And that really gave me a sense of belief that, yo, I could do this. Like, sometimes you throw in a video just as an experiment, just to see how it does. But this is one experiment that went well, and it's made me who I am today. That was just a starting point.
To be honest, like during shooting the video, while you were reacting actually, and like trying to lip sync the video.
Yeah.
I was looking at you and I was like, yo, this guy is enjoying this.
Oh, of course.
And
Yeah,
I
you
was
have
like,
to love
yeah,
it. You have to love it. When you find something that you love to do, and especially the excitement of a first video, but regardless, I treat every video like it's my first video and my last video at the same time. Um, just being able to feel that moment. And one thing that always inspired me as a kid was just seeing people on stage by themselves, captivating an audience of thousands of people. That still till this day mesmerizes me, and I want to be someone that does that. And that's what I'm pushing towards. And I have such a loyal fan base now that I'm so grateful for. And you know who you are. If you're listening to this and you're watching this, you know who you are.
you're
And
amazing.
just know that I love you and I appreciate you. And just like you, Ahmed, you've been a follower with me even since I pivoted and I changed direction. You know me as a person. You know me personally, right?
Exactly.
So it's just it means a lot. And I'm going to continue pushing and continue growing. And with the connections I'm making and the moves that I'm making right now after this album, it's going to prove a lot of people wrong.
Hopefully, yeah. Oh my God. What was your biggest motivation though? Like to start this or do
Um,
this full
so
time,
I'm the
maybe?
type of person who's really I'm a stubborn guy. But not in a bad way. Like when I want something and I believe in something and I believe it's right, it's hard to convince me that it's not right. If I feel it in my heart that what I'm doing is correct, and that's what this is for me. So having all the people, like from my family to my friends to distant relatives to all that, even family back in Iraq who questioned me and didn't support me, that was my one of my biggest motivations as to why I kept pushing. Just because you tell me I can't do something, watch, I'm gonna make sure I do it.
Exactly.
That's just one of the biggest motivations, and I still
Yep.
deal with that today. And I feel like I'm an underdog in a lot of ways. Like I'm a simple guy. I don't really flaunt jewelry. My message is very simple,
Of
but my
course.
message also felt. So I don't really conform to what mainstream society does, but at the same time, I'm an artist that talks about mainstream issues.
Were you a troubled child when you were a kid?
You're referring to the song, huh? At
Yeah.
times I did feel like that. At times I did
Yeah.
feel like that, and that song was really a release. Like if you listen to the song / spoken word, however you want to see it, featuring Alessia. Shout out to Alessia, amazing singer. Um, it was I was yelling the entire time, like I was loud the entire
Yep.
time, and it was just me releasing all that emotion, and I also as much as I felt it personally, I did put myself in a position of what I thought a troubled child was, and I ran with that. So that's what I went with, and it went out really powerfully, which I'm really grateful for.
Were you just like, because I relate to this song a lot. Were you just like, quiet outside and like, loud at home, or just like loud in
Yeah,
general?
yeah. So that's a good question. So I actually, when I say trouble child, I don't mean like the kid that gets on timeouts and detention every single day. That was not me. I was a relatively good kid in school and with my parents. But trouble child was almost is I guess it's more internally. I felt like I was troubled. I felt like I wasn't happy. I felt like I was feeling things that I didn't know how to express. And that's what I was going for. Not necessarily the kid that's the loudest or the quietest, because generally I'm a pretty quiet guy. Like I'm not super loud. Unless I'm in a situation where I'm required to be in. There's a lot of energy, but as a child, I was always more to myself, and that's where I felt the trouble was mainly. So that's what I talk about.
I can really relate to this
Hmm.
song because like I was kind of troubled child when I was a kid, and like I tell my parents I'm really sorry for the stuff that you had to go through,
Absolutely, yeah,
because like I was like quiet outside, like no one, like I was like the best kid outside that you can
yeah.
imagine, and like moment I entered the house, it's like a disaster
It's
that
a
I've
whole
just
you're a
like
whole new
got in.
person. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
the case for a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't imagine what my parents had to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know in your songs you were touching upon the subject of bullying, basically.
Yes.
Did you get bullied in school, or like because you're Arab, right? So like
Yeah.
I feel like I got bullied when I was in school a little bit, not much, but it was not really nothing big, but it was still bullying though.
Yeah. I was bullied in school. Quite not not extremely where I was physically at risk, but it was a lot of mental and emotional abuse
Yeah.
that I felt. And me as a sensitive person, naturally, I feel things really deeply. So whenever I go through something that's simple to somebody else, it might hit me a lot harder than most. So yeah, like it was always a struggle at school, being able to fit in with everyone else, given the values that I had, and coming from a family who's generally secluded. We don't necessarily share a lot of time with other people. We don't necessarily go to other people's houses. We're very much to ourselves.
Exactly.
And I don't have a lot of cousins. I don't have any cousins here, actually, or distant relatives. So the four walls I have, that's my family. That's what I grew up with. So the values I had were so strong because that's all I had, right? And when I see people act differently, I feel weird about it. I wouldn't necessarily approach them, but if I did, I'd probably get bullied in return. That's pretty much what happened. And yeah, so bullying is something I experienced and I witnessed too. I've been the bully and I've also been bullied at the same time. So whenever I rap and whenever I write and whenever I do my poetry, I always try to pick which one am I going to be. Am I going to be the victim or am I going to be the aggressor? Because sometimes it's good to show what it's like to be the bully and talk about that, because no one talks about that as much. People talk about how bad it is, but what about helping the person who's the bully? Maybe something is wrong with them, right?
Because instead of like attacking them, okay, let's make people understand what they're going through, basically, so we can help them.
Absolutely. And a lot of times when people do wrong things, it's mainly because they need help.
Right.
They're releasing something that's a cry for help, and some people don't know how to express that. And when they commit a crime, or they do something wrong, or they hurt someone's feelings, it's not about the other person. The other person just happened to be in the way, and it happened to be right there for them to release it. But in reality, it's something that they need help with themselves. No one wants. I don't want to believe that someone wants to bully someone because for the sake of bullying. Rather, it's something that they feel within themselves that they have to do to either validate themselves, to fit in, to prove something to themselves, or copy someone that they're seeing, and that's an issue that they need to handle personally, with the right help, of course.
Yeah, that's great. The dark side in islands. That was one of my favorite ones.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually, it was touching upon a very important issue, and it was actually a bunch of issues actually, with what's going on in the Middle East right now. So like, wow. So what do you think was the dark side?
So the dark side is a lot of things. I think in the first verse of the song, where I say in Arabic, "Hayati Masa Kawarid Haram Kulli Jawanib," I talk about, because I always like to talk about my roots and where I come from. And where I come from, unfortunately, it's been war to war to war to war to war, right? And social conflict, whether it's civil or international or global or whatever, there's always some conflict, right? And so I put myself in the shoes of someone in Iraq, in Palestine, in Lebanon, and especially the time where I released the song, there was a lot of protests going on, a lot of uprisings. Yeah. So I wanted to really capture that, and by talking about that, I feel like I raised awareness. I also brought the Arab community when I did use the Arabic. And then the second verse I talk about, I say, talking the talk, I'm giving these aunties a new thing to talk about. So it's me speaking out to my community here. So in the beginning, I talk about my community back home. And then I talk about my community here in the second verse, where I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I'm leading the youth. And for you to tell me that this is wrong of you, not of me.
So you're just like bringing them closer to the issue, basically.
Yeah, raising awareness. Yeah, because I start the verse off with, what is it? I seek forgiveness from God in advance, even though I know even though I know He knows all my plans. Something like that. Even though He knows all my plans already. Right? I'm seeing these people with blood on their hands, the suits and the ties that disguises the man. I'm talking about like the political issues that we're going through, and that's something a lot of people don't like to talk about in their art. But it's something I want to be able to reach out to my community and be like, hey, this is what's going on. There's a lot of bad people doing bad things to good people, and bad things are happening to good people. So raise awareness towards that, and using my platform for good, right? If I'm not using my platform to make a change, then what's my point of having a platform, right? And the second verse, of course, is my experience in the community with aunties and uncles and ammus and khalas just all coming at me, telling me what I should do, what I should be, and just saying like, I'm not listening to you, like I'm doing me, and I'm confident in that.
Yeah, I can really also relate to this as well, because you see, like, they don't understand what we're going through, like here.
Not at all.
Because like they think, oh, it's like their life is like, their life is miserable there, and like our life is easy here. It's actually quite the same, but it's just different in the way that how difficult it is.
Of course, and our education is different. The way we're taught is different. The way we act is different. Like, we live in a very individualized society, individualistic, it's capitalist society, right? Everyone has to try to be the best on their own. Whereas where we come from, it's a lot of family. It's like closeness. So everything you do is together, and father son, father daughter, mother son, mother daughter relationships are always generally positive because you're always spending time with them. You're working. You don't question. Here, we're taught to question so much. And when we start doing that, that's when I feel like the conflict begins as immigrants and living that double life. At home, we have to conform. We have to listen to what they're saying and follow that, not because we believe it, but because it's how we save ourselves from getting a beating, or it's how we save ourselves from hurting ourselves or doing the wrong thing, or being of a nuisance to our parents at the very least. And then we go outside and it's like, okay, now I'm free. I get to be what I'm taught. I get to actually be the person that I see my friends are and all that stuff. And being a first child, once again, bringing that up, we have to go through that first. We have to realize that first. A lot of people, and the thing is, as a first child, sometimes we have friends who are the youngest child, who have siblings who have been through it, and they're already free. Their parents are done, guiding them or telling them what to do because they've already done that for their elders and all that. So it's a real, it's just a whole mess, that we have to sort of work through to be able to find ourselves.
Yeah, I believe your brother is taking it easy now, right? It's like
so easy, man. Like I really softened my parents up for him, bro. Like, especially being an artist, man. Like, I go out to events. I sometimes have to be out late because of the events, and it's work to me. It's not for fun. Sometimes I go to other people's events, and little things that I did that they were not okay with at first, they're now obviously they have to be okay with because it's part of my career, it's part of my direction. And then of course the little brother always wants to take advantage and be just like his big brother and all that. So yeah, it just goes hand in hand because if they're gonna let me do it, they have to let him do it.
Of course,
but it was never like that for me. But hey, we can't have everything, right?
Exactly, right. Oh my God, I can remember first time my brother brought someone home, like one of his friends. And I was like, wait a minute, like you never allow me to bring anyone home, right? I was like, what the? Right. And I was like, I was still in high school, right? So like this mindset of like, oh, how come he gets this and I don't get this?
Right. So, and that's what we want, but as being an eldest child, we're the sacrifice,
Exactly.
We're the sacrifice of the family, especially as an immigrant.
I think you brought him into one of your videos. Actually, he was playing basketball. That was great.
He was, yeah. And,
the guy's talented. Oh my God.
He is, yeah. And he has a bright future ahead of him as long as he works hard and makes the right decisions for sure. I always like to bring people who are close to me in my videos. If I don't necessarily, unless it's a circumstance where I need like a stuntman or something like that, I generally like to bring people that I know involved in my art because that's how they connect with me more. And that's how, like, for example, you did the video and you connected with my art a lot more than probably in the beginning, right? So just by being a part of my journey, I want to make it feel as though we're a family. We're together in this. Whether we talk to each other once a year or we talk to each other every day, you're part of my family. You're part of my growth, and I treat you as if you're my family.
So as a Middle Eastern right now, because we're talking about mostly families, as a first generation immigrant Middle Eastern. You had to live like kind of like the double life, right? Like you're just someone else outside, and then like you're just a different person at home, right? So tell me about this, right? Like, was it difficult? Like,
I had to live with that for a while, and to an extent, I still live with that. It's still part of my identity, being two people. But it was definitely a lot harder growing up because there were times where I was like, I have to choose. I have to pick. Am I going to be someone that is like the way I act outside, or am I going to be the way I act at home permanently?
Exactly.
Yeah. And there were phases where I tried both. I tried the home approach where I was extremely religious and I was, all about the deen and I was following my parents' orders and not questioning anything and just being the ideal son because I thought, what if I lived that type of lifestyle? And then the flip side, I tried being the rebel, the one that does the things that my parents aren't necessarily okay with, but society thinks it's fine, and that's what I'm raised upon. And there was that side of it. So it came to a point as I matured that I could be both, and that's okay.
Exactly.
And that's something that's actually, rather than that being a struggle, that can be something I'm proud of. That's what I want to flip. That's the mentality. Like I can be Iraqi in the house, but I can also be Canadian outside, and I can also be Iraqi outside, and I can be Canadian in the house. I have these hats that I can switch and change how I think, and it really has opened my mind so that if someone tells me something absolutely insane, like the Earth is flat, I'll be a lot like, for example, Earth is flat. I'll have a lot more acceptance for that. Why do you think that way? Rather than saying no, that's wrong. Because if I picked one life over the other, I would automatically be closed-minded. That's how I felt, right? So I really want to highlight that it's okay to live a certain way, because you can't act the same way with everyone. Everyone's different. Everyone has different personality traits. Everyone has, excuse me, everyone has different, tendencies and ways of speaking and all that. So if I speak in Arabic at home, that doesn't make me less Ali when I go outside.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And if I speak English outside, it doesn't make me less Ali when I go at home.
No.
And it's just that judgment that I had for myself that I had to get over. So now I feel like I have a balance, and I want to lead by example through my art.
Yeah, does your parents allow you to, like, I was gonna touch upon this. Does your parents allow you to, like, mostly speak English at home, or just like they're okay with you, like, mixing it a little bit?
Yeah, well, my mom speaks fluent English. Like,
that's perfect.
So she lived in Europe for a few years in her teenage years, so she knows perfect English. So it's normal that I speak English and Arabic with her. It's almost a mix, Generally, I think we mix some words.
Exactly.
Even in the West here, and with friends, we'll speak English, Arabic, and mix them together like it's nothing. Yep. So that's sort of how it's been, but we do our best to maintain our language, which I think is important to maintain your identity that you have at home. So I always want to hold on to my Arabic, while at the same time, like, I'm Canadian, so I'm going to speak English.
Of course, always. That brings us to Invisible, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, so you went with the timeline. I like this. I like where we're going with this.
Yeah.
I feel that I sense the growth in the
Invisible. Invisible was such a great video.
Thank you.
And I really loved it. I love that you collaborated with multiple people this time.
Of course.
More than, I think more than other videos. 3
videographers for this one. Yeah. It was a big project.
It was. Oh my God. Such as, like, people such as Khalid Nabil.
Yeah.
Khalid is so great. Like,
really
talented. Did he do, like, the coloring for the video, the color grading, or was it?
No, he actually did most of the shooting. Shout out Khalid Nabil. Love you, bro.
You're amazing.
And
you're gonna be on the podcast soon.
Yeah, we gotta get him on the podcast.
Oh my God.
And he did a lot of the filming. And shout out Irqi Osman as well. He did the drum shots. Irqi Osman, he's got to get on the show. And Quest, of course,
talented,
the producer and videographer for a few of the videos. So yeah, he did a lot of the filming. He did the concept too. We thought of the concept, thought of the idea, and he just brought it to life.
I love that you brought them also in the video as well. Like, it was just
of course, because like I said, I want to treat everyone as family, and everyone that's close to me is going to get a chance to showcase themselves. And I always feel as though if I have the platform, if I have the ability, rather than, let's say I have a plate, right, a plate of food, and I'm a rich guy, I have a lot of money. Rather than ordering a bigger plate, why don't I extend the table so that someone else can eat with me? And then another person can eat with me. Another person can eat. And I genuinely feel like there's enough success to go around for everyone. That's why whether you have 15 followers or you have 15 million followers, there's enough success to go around for everybody to do what they love, express themselves, and just feel content.
Yeah, that's what I also feel, that, like, people nowadays, like, focus more on, like, oh, this guy has, like, 1 million, and this guy has, like, 600,000. Well, it's not about the numbers. Like, it's about the content,
it's about the quality, the value that you bring to people's lives.
And I see you're putting a lot of work into, always, like, updating, like, always, trying to do the best for your videos. And, like, it's so great, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, actually, for being here. But I just wanna touch upon something. Okay, did you find your identity after that video? Oh my God!
I'm searching for identity. Yeah. So that song was actually one of the last songs that I wrote on the album. And in the creation of the 11 songs, I felt as though I needed an upbeat song while still maintaining value and realness. So I had actually written the lyrics to the song as a spoken word piece before, and actually I performed it at a different event previously, but it just really fit with his beat.
Was it the Arabs Got Talent?
It wasn't the Arabs Got Talent. It was the Hakawati event. Yeah, so the Hakawati event, I performed it with a different beat. It was a little quieter, a little more simple, and it was more like a spoken word style. But then I heard this beat by Quest. Shout out Quest. It just fit really well with the lyrics, right? So I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can make this, like, hype and enjoyable and entertaining, like a radio song.
It is. Oh my God.
And that's what it did. That's what it did. So that song is really a benchmark for me. Just to be like, yo, like you did it with a spoken word album. Now you're doing it with a hip hop album. Let's see where you can go with this, right? And I think a lot of people related to it. It's gotten a lot of attention from a lot of different magazines and people really like it because it's different. It talks about something different.
Exactly.
It's meaningful, but it's also catchy and it's fun. Shout out Dominique Gorley for doing amazing on the chorus. She did an amazing job. Last minute, like she saved the album. It would have been delayed a lot had she not helped out. Yeah, it was just such a fun project to make, and it was just made to be a single. You know, before the album, it was made to be that one preview. I had to show people that one. That's the one I wanted them to grasp onto, and it's been really, really successful.
And you actually concluded your album by this song, right?
No, actually. So there's a few songs after it. I concluded it with For You. Yeah. So this song was towards the end. It's the 7th song off the album. So it's towards the second half of the album where I talk about more personal things. After I have my mom on the interlude, I go into more personal topics, and Invisible is one of them.
All right. So lastly, we're just gonna, I'm just gonna throw some words. Tell me what you think, or anything that comes to your mind.
It's like a quick game, huh?
Yeah, quick game, a little bit to conclude with.
Let's do it.
Tell me about the red rose jacket.
The red rose jacket. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this. It was I bought it from H&M. I thought it was a cool jacket. I wanted to stand out, and I'm like, you know what? Poet, rose, spoken word, my style, soulful. You know what? Roses fit. So I started wearing it. I stood out. It became personal to me. There's an emotional attachment to it. I wear it whenever I perform at certain events, and yeah, gotta love the rose jacket. Love that.
Oh my God,
it's become part of my identity. They see me, they think soulful poet, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it became an icon for you.
Yeah, it became like part of my image, which is good.
Exactly. That's great. Actually, you made it to your logo as well for some time.
It did. Yeah, it was my logo for quite a bit. Yeah,
exactly.
Now I'm sort of exploring different styles. I got the merch. Got the merch over here, and
that's the second style.
I haven't got the merch second style. As you can see over here. Hit me up for the merch. But I'm exploring different styles, especially going to spoken word, going to hip hop, and my hip hop style is a little more dark, right? So I've got a little more different styles that are coming in. Cool outfits coming up very soon. You're gonna see the visuals for some projects. You're gonna like them.
That's great. Oh my God. The microphone. Oh my God. Tell me.
Oh, my microphone journey has been such a journey. Yeah. If you were to those the diagrams where like humans like like from monkey to human.
Yeah.
That's literally what my mic journey was, man. I had a $50 blue snowball that I was rapping to, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was using Audacity, which is a free editing software that is. I mean, it works if you know how to use it really, really well. But for someone who knew nothing, it sounded horrible, and I didn't know how to use it properly. I would literally hide underneath my bed because that was the quietest space I could find in my apartment. While living with my parents at the time, I would stuff it in my closet. I would do the most with it, and then from there, I sort of progressed. Actually, in the creation of the album, one of my main microphone actually broke, and it stopped working for whatever reason. I still don't know why. But you had to buy a new one halfway through just to be able to finish the album.
Oh my God. Can't imagine this happening.
It's a lot of money, but it's worth it, for the impact.
Yeah, you just started, and you're like, yeah, I really have trust in this gear, and then it just breaks down.
And especially with a microphone, like every artist has their go-to microphone. Like Drake has a go-to one, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, they just have their go-to, the one that gets their sound crisp and right, But I've had to change up, and thankfully, I think the microphone I have now is pretty solid too.
Hopefully it continue to the best. Actually,
thank you. Yeah.
All right. The Shahata. Oh my God.
Yeah. So actually, I was on CBC the other day, All in a Day with Alan Neal. Shout out Alan Neal. I don't know if he's gonna watch this, but if you are, Alan Neal, you did a great job interviewing me. I was on CBC Radio, and they asked me, "What was that in your mom's hand?" And I was like, He was talking about Shahata. So of course it's just a metaphor. It's a joke that a lot of us make in the West. You can get smacked with a Shahata. It never actually happened, thankfully. My mom was a lot more civil and peaceful than that.
I would say your dad that used weapons on you. It's
it was just
my dad. By the way, my dad used the belt. That was his
belt. Nice. So everyone has a weapon of choice. But it's just it's a cultural thing that we just joke about. It's a stereotype, and it's not necessarily meant to be taken seriously. But it's just the metaphor and the image, and just to make people laugh while still getting the message of what I'm talking about.
And I feel I don't know why, but us Arabs mostly, we make fun of this stuff actually. Like we laugh at it.
Yeah.
It's like
we laugh at the wrong
posed
things.
as a problem, right?
Yeah, we really do laugh at the wrong things. That's really interesting. I didn't think of it that way, but we laugh at the wrong things at the wrong times too.
Exactly. I remember one of the comedian Nimar, actually, I'm not sure if you've watched him, but he has this joke as well, and he uses the shahata as like in his joke, and everyone's just like dying.
Everyone dies, yeah.
It was crazy.
But in reality, like getting hit by shahata is no fun.
No,
it's not a fun experience. I don't have that experience personally, but if anyone does, let me know.
I can imagine it's painful. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So do you love the stage? Because you've been a couple of times on, like, I know, like, lots of stages that you've been on to. What was your favorite one, actually? If you can say, though, like, if you can't, like, you know.
Well, hopefully I'll be on a lot more stages, and I want to be growing, and hopefully my stages will have a lot more people in the audience. That's always the goal, growing and all that. But being on Muslim Fest in Toronto stage last year and this year, last year as like a talent hunt winner and a talent show winner, so I earned the right, and then this year as actual guest performer. It's a lot of fun just being able to be with the community. Other stages I've been on, I'm trying to think, man, like the Arab Student League in Carleton, that really great stage, really great audience with people. YLT, the Yellow Let's Talk in Toronto, shout out YLT, love you guys. They had an amazing stage, 500 people. That was a lot of fun too. I really do love being on stage because I feel like I want my voice to be heard, and that's the being on stage with the spotlight is the best way for me to do so. And I get to express my art, connect with people, and enjoy a moment with everyone.
Is it a different feeling? Like, does it have like the same feeling as if, like, you're recording? Of course, it's a different feeling, but did you, like, first time you went on stage, did you feel like, oh my God, it's like, the whole world is just watching you?
Oh, like, yeah. Like my first event was a charity event, actually. I did a spoken word piece that I had memorized, but I was so afraid of messing up that I just I just spat it really quickly. I didn't have the right cadence. I didn't have the right delivery. I just spat it, right? And I was just so scared. And it was a charity event for in the Iraqi community. So the Iraqi community is already judgmental. So that added a lot of fear to me.
Yeah.
But even, till this day, I still do get nervous, especially when it's like 20 seconds before he's going to call my name up. Like 30 seconds, like, I know the MC is about to introduce me.
Yep.
From Ottawa, Ontario, TheSoulfulPoet. That's when it's like, breathe,
exactly.
Focus, get in the zone. But once I speak into the mic, once I get one song done, then I'm just in the zone. Like, I don't feel much of it, and it's just so much fun.
That's great. Oh my God. Tell me, did being Ali the Soulful Poet, did this like bring you closer to your faith, away from your faith? What is it?
So, contrary to popular belief from the religious community, it has brought me closer to my faith. A lot of people do misinterpret what I'm trying to do, and they don't understand what I'm trying to do, and that's fine. That's their discovery to make, right?
Basically.
But it has definitely brought me closer because it's definitely opened up my mind. It's given me power to feel what I want to feel and what I feel is right, to do my own research, to do my own thought process, to do my own discussions, and accept being incorrect. A lot of times when we're super, super religious, we can't accept being wrong. We can't accept having conversation.
No.
And because we're so certain of what we believe is right. You know what I mean? Especially as faith, because faith is very powerful. If someone tells you that your faith is wrong, that's very strong because that's what you depend on, right? That's what you connect with the most. So, now being an artist, being someone who preaches goodness, I'm more focused on just be a good person, bro. Like the world has so many different faiths and religions. I'm not here to tell you what's right. I know what's right for me, and I'm going to lead by my example. But at the end of the day, you're free to do what's right as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're doing what's best for yourself, as long as you're doing what makes you happy and closer to what you are and what you want to be. I don't care what religion you are.
Exactly. I feel also it's, as you said before, like the Iraqi community is so judgmental.
Very judgmental. Very stubborn too. Very, very strict and very closed-minded.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I'm one of them.
Absolutely. But I do say that at the same time, we're probably one of the most strong communities in the sense that we've been through so much, and we're still able to come through and be together and celebrate and have good times and be artists. We have new artists coming up from Iraq. So we do say that we are judgmental and all that, but it's not all doom and gloom. We're not bad people. It's just the culture and what we've been through has forced us to be this way. But by no means am I bashing Iraqi culture at all. Don't get that twisted. None at all. I'm Iraqi myself, so I've lived it, so I can say firsthand what I've experienced.
Oh my God. Tell me about Kareem. Such a
The
talented
homie
guy.
Kareem, shout out Kareem. Man, Kareem music, man, I gotta love that guy. So him and um, I connected with him a little less than a year ago. He performed at an Ottawa Fury soccer game. He was with someone who was doing the anthem. He performed a song, and I've always followed him because I'm close with Jamal Jackson Rogers. Shout out just Jamal, incredible mentor. He's a coach of mine, and he mentored Kareem as well. But I never really got in touch with him because I don't know, it just never really happened. But I always wanted to work with a singer. And I reached out to him, and we worked on the Yummy song, which caused a lot of controversy, but was really, really successful, and I really love that song. And it was fun, and we've become friends, and we're brothers now. We do a lot. We talk almost every day, talk about our plans, talk about how to grow as an artist. So shout out to Kareem Music. He actually just released an album. I'm gonna plug that in real quick. He just released an EP. Make sure to check that out. It's called Who Am I? An incredible project. It's really, really, really good. I had the privilege of watching it grow. I had the privilege of actually helping with the mixing and engineering of it. So make sure to check that out. And but after you check out Live from the Basement, after you check out my album.
After that, first of all, like go over like every song that Ali made, and
go through every song and then go to Kareem's.
And then go.
I'm sorry, Kareem. I love you, bro.
You're great. How did you meet Jay Dean?
Jay Dean, that's a good question. So I mentioned that I was at Muslim Fest last year,
right?
And I knew Jay Dean was going to perform at Muslim Fest.
Oh,
so I reached out to Muslim Fest and asked if there was any way I could be on stage, and they said the only way is if you come to Toronto and you compete in the talent competition, similar to Arabs Got Talent that was the show like a few months ago. And if I win, then I get to be on stage. I get the privilege. So I have to win the competition first, go on stage, and then I get backstage access. Right? That's how I'm thinking. So I actually go. I take my mom and my brother with me, and I pay for the hotel, pay for gas, rent a car, and I go there. And I'm like, listen, I gotta win this. No way I'm losing. So I go to the talent competition against 10 other incredible artists. And thankfully, I won, thankfully. So that meant I got backstage access. That meant I got to go on stage. So from there, I got to go on stage. And when I went on stage, it was at 3 p.m. It was raining. Barely anyone was there. But regardless, I think I put in a good show. I did two of my pieces off my debut album. I did Happy, I did Moment's Notice, which is a project that's coming out very soon, actually, with a video. But and then afterwards, at night, it was Jay Dean's time, and a lot of different artists were up there as well. So I made sure to be there for around 7 o'clock. Jay Dean's performing, be there, say hi to him. I gave him my business card, and I told him, listen, I'm from Ottawa too, bro. Like let's talk, let's chop it up, let's meet, let's connect. And now he's a brother to me. I love the guy. Super humble, incredible mentor. He's helped me grow a lot in my art, and he's definitely a great motivator.
I feel like
shout out Jay Dean.
Yeah, he's actually great.
Jay Dizzle.
Yeah, I feel like some people like Jay Dean like have made it easier for like people as yourself, right? Like a little bit. It's like they already led the way, right?
Absolutely, and being a convert Muslim too. Like people forget that he was a Muslim.
Yeah, he's a convert.
Like right, so he had to deal with all the opinions, all the judgmental Muslims being like, "Who the heck? I don't know you. What the heck? I wasn't raised with you. Like I don't know you like that." But if that happens to me, it's like I know you're an uncle. Like okay, I get you. I know your place. You stay in your lane, right? But for him, he doesn't know that stuff, right?
No.
And to be able to fight through that and to make it out is just incredible. So big ups to him. And he has definitely made it easier for Muslim, Arab artists, and artists in general who come from visible minority communities, as immigrants as well, to just be able to express yourself and not be afraid of what everyone wants to judge you with.
Basically, yeah. Did you face any issues with one of your pieces, like with editor or something like that? Like, did you have to take down one of your pieces because of something? Because I know one of your pieces got taken down.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily a huge issue. Like it was a spoken word piece that I released called "Rise Up to It."
Yeah.
And I actually used footage from Poong, I think her name is. So she does really solid like animated sketches of stories, and it's about love, and the poem was about love. So I thought, by giving credit and not claiming any copyright and not making any money off of it, it would be okay. But YouTube decided to copyright it, but that's fine. Like I posted it elsewhere. I posted it on Instagram.
It was on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. So I made sure to do that, and people still loved it, and it's still a poem that like when I perform, people still really enjoy it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people will relate to this.
They do, of course. Yeah.
And it's like the idea behind this this poem's like, yeah, love shouldn't make you fall. It should makes you
It makes you rise up,
rise.
right? Yeah. And love should not be something that brings you down. Like you said,
No.
it should be something that brings you up and helps you and lifts you, and makes you a better person.
All right. What makes you wake up every day and like being Ali, being the humble Ali, the positive Ali, like every day?
It's a lot harder than I'd probably make it look. I think what wakes me up every morning is just the opportunity for a new day. I know every day is a blessing and every day is an opportunity, right? So just having that meaning and that purpose in life is huge. And I'm on a mission to be one of the to be a legendary artist with an empire, with a legacy that's remembered globally. I want to have a brand. I want the Soulful brand to grow and be something that people wear all over the place. So if I can take one step forward every single day, I'm happy. Usually I take 4 or 5 steps because I'm just a workaholic like that. But if I can take one step forward every single day, that's perfect for me. That's why I wake up.
That's great. Oh my God. Lastly, where do you see yourself in like 10 years maybe?
In 10 years, a successful independent artist. I'm living off of my art. I have a family that I'm able to fund and support with my art. I've hopefully performed on stages across the world. Hopefully I have a platform that supports me, a brand that is loved, a brand that is cherished. Yeah, I'm still the soulful poet. Like I'm still soulful. I'm still doing what I do.
Exactly. Amazing, actually. Thank you very much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Truly means the world. Appreciate you, man.
It's actually great to have you. Actually, you mostly saved the podcast for like the first couple of episodes.
For real.
I called you a couple of days ago. I was like, oh man, I'm not sure if he has time. I'm not sure because like I know you're busy. So I was like, but the great thing that you're like, oh nope, you're the same Ali that I knew like a year ago, or like
of course
more than that. You're just like same humble Ali. Like yeah, Ahmed, I'm coming.
I got you, bro. Of course, because I want to support my friends as much as you guys support me, right? And that's the least I can do. We go beyond the Soulful Poet. You knew me before then, right? So it's nothing but love to all you guys, even the guys behind the camera. Shout out to you too.
Thank you.
Did an amazing job. But make sure to check out Live from the Basement, Soulful Poet. So all you gotta search is The Soulful Poet. If you want to Google it, you'll be able to find it on my website. Spotify, Apple Music, The Soulful Poet. You'll be able to check it out. All my stuff, everything. Let me know what you think. Reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All The Soulful Poet. Instagram is Ali The Soulful Poet. So connect with me. I promise I'll reply. I'm super open to talking to every supporter, every fan. Anything you need, I got you.
Also the merch. Don't forget the merch, guys.
Do not forget the Soulful merch. Hit me up or check my website. I don't know when this episode is coming up, but it might be on my website. So you can easily order it off my website. If not, and you really want one, hit me up. I got you. I got a pre-order sale going on right now. So make sure to hit me up.
That's great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone, make sure to check the Talk Lab podcast. Make sure to check our previous episodes. Make sure to go to our social media, like and share, and wait for our next episodes. Thank you very much, and have a good day.